So I've been playing a lot of 2XKO recently, and one of the main characters I've been playing is Ahri. I think she's a super fun character, and she has a lot of things that feel really rewarding to execute properly. She has a lot of flashy combos, and I think just moving around the screen with the character feels really good. And naturally, there are a lot of other people that want to pick up the character as well. But I've also seen a lot of people struggling to learn Ahri. I've seen many comments of people just stating that she feels hard to pilot, or a lot of people just not even being sure what to do with the character in the first place. Well, if that sounds like you, then you came to the right place, because today I want to help all of you learn how to play Ahri yourself. It's probably true that Ahri is one of the hardest characters to master in this game, but I don't think that means that it has to be difficult to pick up and learn the character in the first place. More than Ahri being difficult, I think she's just unintuitive for people, so today I want to help clear that up. I want to help streamline the process of learning this character and give you the basic essential things you need to know to play her yourself. She can definitely feel difficult at first, but I promise by the end of this video you'll be well on your way to success. So with that said, let's get into discussing everything you need to know about playing Ahri in 2XAO. Kicking things off, I think we should first talk about Ahri's general game plan. I think easily the most important thing to talk about with this character's general game plan is going to be mobility. Not exactly on the ground, she's fine on the ground, but I think more importantly is her air movement. Ahri is unique as she is the only character in the game that has a traditional air dash. She can dash either forward or backwards in the air. And on top of that, she can also cancel many of her normals and special moves into her air dash. This paired with her strong air normals and air specials allow her to move around in the air in a way that no other character can do, and it can really keep the opponent guessing on where she's going to be. She has several strong air specials as well to help her move around. She has Spirit Rush, which allows her to rush forward in several different directions. This move can also be cancelled into other normals and specials even on whiff. She also has Foxfire, which she can either do horizontally in the air or diagonally. This is another great way to kind of control space on the screen, alter her jump momentum, and of course, this attack can once again be cancelled into other normals and specials even on whiff. With all these different options she has access to and how she can chain them all together, it really allows her to stay in the air for extended periods of time, and it can be really hard for the opponent to actually anti-air this effectively. Now you might initially think that with movement like this, it means that she's probably really good at approaching the opponent, and while she's not bad at it, I would actually say that Ahri is best played as a keep away character. Ahri is a character where you want to stay away from the opponent most of the time, you want to kind of run away from them, get them to chase you, and a lot of the time you want to have your assist to do the work. Ahri can move around in the air in a very low committal way while her assist tries to take advantage of the opponent being on the ground. So while approaching is definitely not bad on the character or anything, I would definitely plan on having some longer matches when you're playing this character. The other important aspect of Ahri is that she's a great support character. She has two very strong assists, and in general she plays around with the team game mechanics very well. Which, by the way, I already have a video on my channel going over 2XAO's team mechanics and how to better utilize assists and handshake tags. So if you're curious about that, I would highly recommend watching that video. I even give some examples with Ahri specifically. In any case, I think Ahri is best described as a high mobility defensive support character. Next up, we definitely need to talk about playing neutral with Ahri, as I think it's the most important part of the character, as I think it's her biggest strength. As I mentioned earlier, you're going to be focusing a lot on her air movement, space control, and specifically staying away from the opponent. A big advantage of Ahri's neutral is that it's really complemented with assist calls. So that's something you're going to want to keep in mind when we're talking about her neutral, as this is a team game after all, you're not just playing Ahri. Her main pokes on the ground are going to be her 5M and her 2M, as they're fast options which are really nice for checking the opponent for trying to approach you or for whiff punishing them. Generally you'll cancel these into her 5H, which on block will give you offense, and on hit will usually convert into a full combo. Anyways, her 5H on its own is also pretty decent in neutral. It ends up being a really effective stop sign and is useful for whiff punishing sometimes due to having more range. Another grounded option you definitely don't want to neglect is going to be her S1. This is essentially a fireball, and it has the most range of any of her grounded options. This is really nice to keep in mind when you're fighting other characters who have big buttons on the ground, so characters like Yasuo or Darius, for example. I wouldn't use this option too much because it does have a lot of recovery, so if the opponent happens to jump, you're going to get punished. Usually you'll cancel the S1 into another S1, and to convert this into a combo, you're either going to need to spend meter to get a knockdown, or use an assist to convert into a full combo, as you're usually too far away to get anything else. I also want to talk about her 2S1 real quick. I know a lot of people don't think this move is very good, and I'm not going to tell you it's amazing or anything, but it definitely can be useful sometimes. Specifically if the opponent is playing very defensive, maybe they're waiting for their assist to come back up or something like that, putting down a 2S1 is just a fine thing to do. It's a projectile that travels across the ground, so the opponent either needs to back up a lot, which gives you space, or they need to jump, which can be pretty predictable. It's also not a bad idea to throw one out before active tagging out of Ahri. as a projectile will stay out even after she leaves the screen. When it comes to her grounded anti-airs, her 2H can be really strong for anti-airing people who are jumping from afar, as it hits really high and really far out, and she moves forward when she does it. However, it can be really bad for anti-airing somebody who's right on top of you because she moves forward when she does it. Because of this, I think anti-airing with Ahri really comes down to spacing. You either need to back up preemptively to anti-air the opponent, or you want to dash under them and take advantage of them with your air button. You can also look to air the opponent with a jumping light or jumping medium, and even her air throw can be a very strong option as she gets a combo off of it most of the time. With that all said, I would say usually if your opponent is jumping at you, it's because they're trying to stop you from jumping as the Ahri player, so let's talk about your air options next. First off, we should talk about her JH. This is a very effective spacing tool. You can do things like a neutral jump JH to just kind of control space in front of Ahri because it's a very big, very active hitbox, and the opponent kind of has to overcommit if they want to directly anti-air you for doing this. But because Ahri has so many other options being air and a lot of air movement, it's just as easy to punish the opponent for overcommitting into trying to anti-air your JH. If the opponent tries to chase any of this extra air movement, they might end up just running into your JHs. She also has her jumping S2 and 2S2. I really like using jump S2 as a way to discourage the opponent for trying to jump. This is especially effective if you pair it with any type of forward advancing assist on the ground. If the opponent jumps into your S2, you can handshake tag to your assist character and get a combo or start offense. And if they try to approach from the ground, they're just going to run into your assist character. Our jumping 2S2 can also be really nice for covering that down forward angle and stop people from approaching. And once again, paired with assist, this can very easily set yourself up to start some offense. Her 2S2 can also be used as like an anti-air bait if you're trying to approach the opponent. As the move has a ridiculous amount of hit stun, it is much easier to convert off of than you might initially think. In general, you definitely need to keep in mind that all of her air specials are usually whiff cancelable into her normals or her other movement options. A big example of that would be her Spirit Rush, which is her jumping S2. These effectively work as extra air dash options. If you're trying to run away from the opponent, you can do things like air dash back into 2 Spirit Rushes backwards. This will basically get you away from the opponent no matter what. If the opponent tries to chase you, you can cut them off with either a 2S2 or a call and assist that they'll run into. You can also use this to approach the opponent. You can jump and then air dash into a Spirit Rush, and then you'll be directly over the opponent where, once again, you can call an assist and the opponent will be stuck there on the ground. As anti-airing Ahri in this situation can be really difficult. A big thing to keep in mind with Ahri's neutral when she's at the top of the screen is that most characters don't really have strong options to hit her in that position specifically. Learning to mix up your air patterns and keep the opponent guessing on where you're going to be is pivotal to controlling Ahri. You're basically trying to be really annoying and then capitalize on the opponent getting annoyed. If the opponent is being overly patient, it's not too hard to put yourself in a position to call your assist and then start running offense. I would say in general, that's kind of the crux of Ahri's neutral. Now we can get to the cheap stuff and talk about Ahri's offense. When it comes to solo offense, I think Ahri's offense is just fine. She mostly is going to be looking to run basic strike throw offense, but where it gets really cheap is when you start using team mechanics. First off, talking about her Oki, one really nice thing about Ahri's combos actually is that most of them end with the same ender, which would be her S2. This is a really strong ender because you can cancel her S2 into her 2S1, which basically allows you to put a delayed projectile out on your Oki, and this is really nice for option coverage. An effective strategy is to end your combo with S2, cancel into 2S1, and then backdash twice. This puts you at the perfect range to react to the opponent forward rolling and throwing them for it, which is a punish. And if the opponent just neutral techs or back rolls instead, the projectile will force them to block. And this allows you to just run in and apply pressure afterwards. It's not anything unfair exactly, but the option coverage is really nice, as it simplifies the process of running Oki. Once you have the opponent blocking, solo Ahri is mostly just going to be looking to run strike throw offense. You're going to be using a lot of staggered 5Ls and 2Ls, and going for throws to try to keep the opponent guessing. When you're looking to frame trap the opponent, you'll be looking to do things like 5L into delay 2M, and 2M into delay 5H as frame traps. And finally, ending your pressure with something like an S1 or an S2 is perfectly fine. Where it gets really cheap is when you start using assists. One of Ahri's biggest strengths for offense is that because she has an air dash, it allows her to run really effective high-low mix-ups. One easy example is just doing a block string into her upward Spirit Rush and covering the gap with an assist call, and then coming down with a jumping heavy. From here, you can cancel into an air dash J2L, or just go low with a landing 2L. Depending on the team you're playing and how much block stun your assists have, you can also just do something like 5H into assist call and then jump forward, come down with a jumping heavy, and do pretty much the same thing. You can also look to take advantage of this when you're handshake tagging into Ahri. A really nice thing about Ahri's assists is that both of them leave her airborne. So if you're currently controlling your other character and you called an Ahri assist to do a mix-up, and maybe it didn't work out, you can very easily just do pretty much anything with your current point character, handshake tag into Ahri, and then do a high-low mix-up on your way down. If you're handshake tagging out of Ahri, I would say the best move to use this for would be her S2, as it has the most amount of block stun, and it gives your other character plenty of time to work with and set up a mix-up. In the case of the team that I play, it gives Echo plenty of time to steal the corner and go for crazy left-right mix-ups, but pretty much every team I think can take advantage of this in some way. I also want to mention her 2S2, which is her overhead, as I have a lot of people ask me about this move. Generally, I don't think this option is great, at least not as an overhead specifically, but what it can be useful for is that it's really nice for resetting your pressure, because on block you can cancel this into an air dash. And another big advantage of this move, honestly, is the fact that it's really effective at stopping the opponent from jumping defensively. People really like to hold up back defensively in this game, as it's a pretty strong option generally. But her 2S2 will just completely call out the opponent for doing this. If they block it, you get to continue pressure, and on hit, you get a combo. Lastly, I want to talk about the held version of her S1 super. This super is really good for combos, which I talk about in my combo guide, but it can also be used in block strings because it's actually just straight up advantageous on block. Even at point blank ranges, it's +2 minimum, I believe. So if you have meter to spare and you want to keep up your offense, don't be afraid to throw out a held super. The last thing I want to talk about today is team building with Ahri. What types of characters does she pair well with? What fuses do you want to use with the character? And just generally speaking, what are you looking to do with an Ahri team? And this is actually the easiest part about picking up this character, because I think Ahri is such a strong support character, she basically works with anybody in the cast. I would say she generally pairs best with characters who have strong assists, since a lot of her kit is based around using assists and getting your other character in effectively. But she definitely can bring a lot of value to pretty much anyone. If I had to pick her best partners, I would say Echo or Jinx. Echo's assists are fantastic for complementing Ahri, and Echo has such strong offense that the fact that Ahri is really good at getting him in safely is just a nice benefit. Ahri Jinx, on the other hand, I think is a very effective zoning team. If you want to keep the opponent out, do a lot of damage, and just generally be really annoying, I think playing Ahri Jinx is very effective. But like I said, I think you can play pretty much anyone. When it comes to fuses with Ahri, this one can depend a lot on the team that you're playing. I would say generally speaking, you probably want to use 2x assist on most Ahri teams because, again, her kit is really based around complementing assist calls. Though strangely, I don't think Ahri herself, like her assists, actually take advantage of 2x assist that well. Because both of her assists are airborne afterwards, you actually have to wait for her to land from both of them to be able to do another assist call, which is just kind of clunky when it comes to 2x assist. But generally, I think it's more than worth it for just how beneficial it can be to have 2 assists when playing Ahri. Double down can also be really nice with Ahri, even though Ahri on her own can do a lot of meter dumping in her own routes. She has 2 supers that are really strong for tagging out of and doing like strong offensive things or combo options. The fuse that I would have the hardest time recommending with Ahri would probably be freestyle. I doubt it's bad or anything, but it just feels like generally speaking 2x assist and double down are probably better. What I would ultimately say about fuse choices is it probably more so depends on what the other character on your team would really want to do. For example, if you were playing Yasuo Ahri, I could imagine freestyle on that team would probably be pretty good. If you're playing Ahri Jinx, you probably want to play double down, and if you're playing Ahri Echo, you probably want to use 2x assist. So it kind of just depends on what your team's ultimately going to be, but I don't really think you can make a wrong choice. And that's it for all the essential things you need to know for playing Ahri. I really do think this character is super fun. I honestly have more fun with her than I thought I would initially. So I do hope that after today's video, you'll be able to get into picking up the character and having just as much fun with her as I do. And I'd actually like to know down in the comments below how you guys are feeling about Ahri and what teams are you guys playing. Of course, if you have any further questions about the character, feel free to ask. Anyways, thank you all so very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.